Hi, I'm Ed Rubin from New York. I'm a writer and a curator. I also am a photographer. I'm here at Gallery 10 in Utrecht. I'm going to be talking to Jackie Sleper. We're going to be talking about her work. She's having a show opening on Thursday called Shadow of Life. And I want to talk about give you a little introduction about the artist, how I know her, why I'm here, and what we've been through together. I think it was about 5 years ago. I was at the Florence Biennale and I was walking around and I noticed that one of the artists was there, a very beautiful blonde woman, so I couldn't help notice. An Amazon, actually, she's very big. And she had a big display of Chinese art. It was based on her trip to China. There were sculptures and paintings, and some of them were in vitrines, meaning glass cases. And I was looking at it, and there was nothing in the show like this. Well, let's talk about Jackie's work in general. Jackie's work in general is very complicated, yet simple. You get an initial reaction, you look at it, it's beautiful, but behind each one is a mind and a story. She's essentially a storyteller. So I was looking at these objects and looking how they were created, and they were so intricate. Petals and insects and jewels and faces and people, and each one was like a Fabergé egg. You know, the type that the Tsar would collect? These are really objects. She doesn't call her sculptures, which they're kind of are sculptures, yet they're not. They're objects where she assembles them. First she has an idea, and then she says, how can I best represent this idea? And then she will find things in flea market, she'll buy things, she will approach an art school and have artists create things, and she puts them all together and makes a masterful work. Interestingly enough, some of Jackie's pieces, Jackie Sleper, Dutch sculptor, some of her pieces are really masterpieces. Now I know that people don't talk about masterpieces anymore because this is 2009, but they are really quite beautiful objects that you really want to own. So I wanted to find out more about this artist, Jackie Sleper, who's, by the way, here at Gallery 10, sitting with me, and we're going to go talk about her work after. And one thing led to another, and we became friends. I was really interested in her work, and I would talk to her about it, and she came to New York with her family. And we met, and she had a show in New York that I went to see some of her pieces there. And then, lo and behold, she was invited to the Austrian Biennale. And I flew to the Austrian Biennale because I was making a trip of Europe, and I wanted to see her work. So there we were in the Alps in Austria, Jackie and I and a whole bunch of other artists having fun, looking at art. And then I drove back with Jackie, back to Utrecht with Tenzin. And then, lo and behold, 2 years later, the Florence Biennale invited Jackie to come back. And she came back with work that she had created in a trip to Mexico. That's true, right? And interestingly enough, she won first prize for sculpture and installation in the Biennale. Everyone was thrilled. It was the most beautiful work there. I want to tell you something about Jackie's work. She has several styles, let's say styles or methodologies or intentions. One of the work she does is she goes to a country like China, in this case Mexico. She travels throughout the country and she breathes in their life. What are these people like? What do they believe in? How do they live? How do they eat? What do they look at? How do they think? And she puts it all in, digests it, and throws it out. She creates work based on the culture, the life of the country that she's visiting. So, interestingly enough, she did a lot of work in Mexico, and a curator who was on the jury of the Florence Biennale loved her work, Mari Roca, and she said, Jackie, I would love you to come and show your work in Mexico. So she arranged to have Jackie's work go, and this was all the last year and a half, going on 2 years, Jackie had 25 pieces traveling around to 8 museums in Mexico. And I flew to Mexico City and then Durango to see this exhibition. It was kind of amazing. Jackie wants to go to a lot of countries. She went to India. She's going to be creating work based on Indian customs, and hopefully she'll have shows in India also. But that's one part of her work. I'd like to talk about this show, Shadow of Light, and in general, it's a very, Jackie's work is very personal, yet it's universal. It's Shadow of Life. The artist just corrected me, but life is light, light is life, and so sometimes we get mixed up with the title. But Jackie's work is both autobiographical and yet universal, because what she taps into is how we think and feel and believe as human beings. So there's a very personal touch to her art. You're drawn right into her art. Immediately you recognize that this is you, that this is how people live, that this is life. Interestingly enough, Jackie Sleper, the artist, is an optimist. Most of her work is uplifting. It makes you think, it makes you happy, it enlarges you, but at the same time, underlying it, there's a message. It's not only a story, there's a message. And if I would say what the message is, it would be make love, not war. Many of her pieces deal with religion, which I think she was raised a Catholic. You were raised a Catholic, weren't you? No, she wasn't raised a Catholic. You were raised what? Any kind of
religion?
Religion?
Yes,
or no?
I'm a Christian Jew.
She's a Christian Jew. God knows what that means. But she questions religion. She questions the Bible. And you'll see in some of her work, like Daniel in the lion pit, some of her subjects, Abraham and Isaac. She goes to the Bible in some of the things, but a lot of the work is very, very modern and very, very, very today. So I guess the best thing to do is if we go around and talk about this work in general, about her ideas behind many of the pieces. The one thing is, you look at the piece and immediately, the test of good art, the test of great art, I used to say as a writer and a critic, is if I wanted to own it. But that's not enough. The thing is, do you want to see it again and again and again? It's like a relationship with anything. Do you want to go home to your same wife every day? If you don't want to go home with her, you get a divorce. So Jackie's work, I think, I want to see every day, because every day not only does it give me strength, but I see things in it. Each day it's a discovery, because it's not simple. It's a simple thing. You see it and it's very beautiful, like a flower. But if you take the time to examine it, the intricacy, how one piece can have 15, 13, 18 different components that make it this piece, and each one of these components has a story. Now, you don't have to know the story to know that it's a beautiful object, but it's wonderful to hear the story. And that's what I'd like to do, to talk with Jackie so you could see how some of the pieces, what they mean, how she came about this, and that we'd like to do that, right?